Hi, my name's Aday. I'm the media coordinator here at Eastwood. Stick my head around many other places too, but that's where I spend most of my time. I am also a candidate for deacon in the United Methodist Church. So I'm pursuing that process, started that process here a few months ago, and I'm really excited to keep going forward with it. I'd like to start with a story. In school, I have a background in theatrical lighting design, and I was doing a show for a huge musical review at our school. We had lights, we were filming it, there was a TV crew and everything, and I had laid out all of the steps in the lighting design, all of the pieces. There's controllers that control lights, that control movement, that control pieces of the stage moving, and I needed to get it all and capture it and highlight all of the hard work that my friends were doing. But there was one problem. 20 minutes before the house was to be open to let people in and start the show, I went through one last walkthrough of everything that I had taken days to lay out, and something was missing. Some of my fixtures, some of my lights weren't working. I couldn't control them the way I needed to. The things that should be timed and activated weren't activating, and I had no time. Well, all I could do was do it by hand. So I sat at the console, and for the first number of that show, I lit everything by hand. I took everything that I had from memory and did what I could in the moment. I'm horrified. I'm stressed out. And the second that I had a moment to leave the console, I ran back to the control room to figure out what could possibly have gone wrong. We'll get back to that story later. Our lives are so busy. Work, family obligations, maintaining friendships, pursuing our interests. All of these parts of our lives require our attention and our focus. I have ADHD and just recently was able to acquire medication for it, and it's changing my life. It manifests for me in a few different ways. It's difficult to start and maintain tasks. Starting and changing tasks is difficult, going from one thing to another. It's hard to start and maintain routines, doing the same thing day in and day out, or even the same thing when I've done it several times. It takes a lot of energy out of me. Our attention is limited. Because of that limitation, the quote that I love from textile worker and writer Cody Cook Parrott is, "Our attention is an act of devotion." If we're paying attention to something, does that imply that we're devoted to it? If we're devoted to something, doesn't that mean that we have to pay attention to it, that it's something that occupies our mind and our thoughts? It's what we implement into our lives. Here at Sycamore Creek, we stop for a chat question. I like them because it gives me time to regroup, to let things set in, to pay attention to the things that I've been hearing for the past few minutes. So here in the comments, or talk with who is with you. Have you ever noticed something that others didn't? Or have you ever not noticed something that others did? Take a minute. Perhaps you don't spend as much time with electronics as I do, but we all prioritize our attention to some things at the cost of seeing others. We doom scroll on Instagram only to realize we're late for lunch with a friend. We fixate on some things at the cost of seeing others. We fixate on our plans instead of seeing where God may be leading us. So let's scale out a little bit. There's two types of attention: focused attention and rote attention. Focused attention is when you're engaged and challenged. It's playing Bop It, if some of you remember what those are. It's focusing on a puzzle. It's when you're focused on the thing and it also engages you. And then there's rote attention, where You're engaged, you're focused on it, but it doesn't challenge your brain at all. It doesn't cost your brain anything to do that. Check out this video.
Selective Attention Test 2.0. How many passes does the team in white make? The correct answer is 38. But did you see the banana getting tackled by a gorilla? But did you see the dancing chicken? Didn't think so.
This is a short example, but it points to what we know about the nature of focused attention. If you're like me, the more ball tosses you needed to count, the higher the number that went, the more you got stressed out. And then when you needed to focus on something else, when you needed to count something else or try to look for something else, you may have had a harder time keeping track of the ball tosses. In 2004, Dr. Gloria Mark, an attention researcher whose work I came across when I was learning about video games, found that the average attention span was about 2.5 minutes or 150 seconds. Later, in 2012, they found that number to be around 75 seconds. Later, in 2019, that number was closer to 47 seconds. Now, if modern life can be defined by distraction, then it becomes even more important to pay attention to what we pay attention to. That's a quote from children's book author Amy Krauss Rosenthal. One of the things we pay attention to here at Sycamore Creek and as followers of God is the collection of stories gathered in the Bible. One of them you may have heard of is from Solomon. He was a king, ancient king, who was known for being super wise, and he asked for that wisdom from God. In 1 Kings 3, Solomon had just gotten the throne. He had never ruled before, and he definitely didn't get the position because he earned it. So he goes to one of the ancient places that they went to pray and asks God. Many translations say for wisdom. I found one recently that said an understanding mind. He asked God to help him pay attention. He asked God to help him be in tune with God in his dealings with the people. So maybe you're not in charge of an entire kingdom, but you have a life worth paying attention to. Maybe you get in your car to go home from work, and the next thing you know, you're home without any real knowledge of how you got there. Or maybe you came from lunch with that friend, but then realized you weren't as present as you wanted to be. Here's another chat question. What are some areas of your life where you would like to practice noticing? Take a moment. So you may be asking, what am I supposed to do about any of this? My friend Julia put me onto a book by Rob Walker called The Art of Noticing, 131 Ways to Spark Creativity, Find Inspiration, and Discover Joy in the Everyday. There's practices in here for listening, for each of your senses, for seeing, and things you can go out into the world and try to practice noticing different things about your life, about your world, about other people. So I want to share a few of those practices with you. The first is one that, if you've ever served with me in the media booth, you're definitely familiar with. It's called selective listening. It's taking the time to isolate and really listen to what's going on around you. Or if you're listening to music, take a song, listen to it once, get a good feel for it, or take one you know well, and then listen to it again. But this time, only listen to the bass line. Only pay attention to what the bass guitar is doing for the entire song. And then listen to it again. This time, only listening for the electric guitar. Do it again. Only listening for the vocals. If you want to get really complex, only listen for one set of vocals if there's a harmony at all in the song. So only listen to the alto part. Only listen to the tenor part. I told Pastor Tom this, and it blew his mind that someone could listen to more than one vocal independently at a time. But it's possible. It's an acquired skill. The second practice is called Hunt for a Feeling. The author, Ernest Hemingway, in the course of offering his thoughts on what it is that makes good writers, complained that most people, never truly listen or truly observe. To underscore this point, he threw down this challenge. You should be able to go into a room and when you come out, know everything that you saw there. And not only that, if the room gave you any feeling, you should know exactly what it was that gave you that feeling. Try that for practice. Younger people might describe this as a vibe check. I would describe it as the most self-aware vibe check ever. Walker says to monitor our surroundings is to pay attention to what's outside of ourselves, to what we see, feel, hear, smell, even taste. But sometimes what marks a place is what we feel there, how a place makes us feel. Do we get a skip in our step, or are we agitated? Are you uncomfortable? Do you find your body shrinking into itself? We can't see feelings, but they're very real. Imagine a map, and on this map is maybe a place you normally go. Maybe it's a map of Lansing. Maybe it's a map of a place you went on vacation. But instead of just the locations on that map, you also get your feelings, how you felt when you entered a certain place, how you felt when you left. Where are you excited or agitated? Where do you shrink into yourself or have a skip in your step? What are the factors that led to that? What are the physical and social influences on that state? And by that, I mean, how does you being who you are influence how you feel in that space? When you go to a big, large cathedral, you feel really small. When you are open in a field, maybe that makes you feel nostalgic for home or your childhood. Or maybe it makes you uncomfortable to be in such a sparse place with so few people. Note that too. That's important. The third practice is called find something to complain about. Complaining gets a bad rap. And, sometimes it can be not great to dwell on the negative, but we can use the critique as a means to an end. James Murphy, the founder of LCD Sound System, is credited with this fun phrase: the best way to complain is to make things. Now, he didn't actually say that, but the sentiment stands. Instead of being sad or frustrated at the fact that no one was making the type of music that he wanted to make, he started to make it. In a very similar spirit, Seth Godin, author and speaker, suggests one interesting way to go about this. He says to ask what's broken, or amongst everything you encounter, ask what could be made better. All around us is this huge potential, hidden potential, to make things unbroken. So let's go back and review those practices, shall we? The first, selective listening. The second, hunt for a feeling. And the third, find something to complain about and make things. And for our last chat question, which noticing practice do you want to try this week? Or come up with another and try that.